Hi and welcome. Today I thought I'd pop on really quickly to just open up a subject that I hope to learn a little bit more about. I hope to hear from some of you who've thought about this as well, because I saw this on NatT-J's channel, and I thought it was a really good topic, at least for someone like me who's pretty new to tarot and has been working with the Rider-Waite-Smith or the RWS system primarily, and is feeling a little bit frustrated, feeling that maybe it's a little bit unbalanced, or maybe it lacks a little cohesion. And I know that sounds really arrogant. Who am I to call this a long-standing deck anything but perfect? But I have been a little frustrated with it now for probably, I don't know, 6 months or so, since I started hearing more about numerology, started understanding more about the Tarot de Marseille deck system, things like that. And I'm still very much a newbie to this, so I'm mostly just coming on here to ask and see what others think and see what I can learn, because a part of me feels like there's probably just something I'm really not understanding. I'm missing some kind of the connections to why the sword suit works so well for you when it doesn't work so well for me. And it really isn't limited to just the sword suit, I would say, but that's the topic that Nat brought up in her hashtag, and I'm hoping that we can continue to discuss it by doing VRs to her, or just commenting below too, to her video and my video. She goes into much more depth, and I'm going to try to keep this quick. Her main issue and my main issue is that the sword suit in the Rider-Waite-Smith system just seems to be disproportionately negative. And I'm not sure, personally, I'm not sure where the connection to the sword suit being a mental suit about dealing with our thoughts and our communication. I don't know how far that goes back, but many of us, of course, know that the actual pictures by Pamela Colman Smith, many of them were derived from the Szucka tarot, the first tarot with illustrated, or rather scenic pips. And I think, Nat goes into much more depth on that as well. But yeah, I thought I'd start by just showing some decks that I've worked with that have fairly Pamela Colman Smith images, and yet aren't, her deck. This is the World Spirit deck. Beautiful deck. I absolutely love the energy of this deck for the most part. But again, I am growing a little frustrated with these scenes that minimize the message of the sword suit to like a specific meaning, because I want to think of it as communication and the realm of the mind. I can sort of understand why the realm of the mind might seem more dangerous than other parts of the human experience, since I feel like it's our mind that separates us from the animals the most, and through that we can do the most damage, much more so than animals can do to this world, to this planet. Nuclear weapons, anyone? But at the same time, I think there's something lost when the realm of the mind is only seen through these images. This one's definitely a little bit different from Pixie's artwork, Pamela Colman Smith's artwork, but still, there's a real negativity in these images that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing a negative Three of Swords. So many negative cards, and that just bothers me the more I try to work with numerology. I feel myself getting stuck and wanting to rearrange how I see things. So yeah, if you feel you've worked out this issue in reading RWS for yourself, I would love to hear more about that. Or if you're also feeling frustrated, great. Let me know how you're doing, what you're doing about it. If you found any decks to be better or worse, for working through that. I really do kind of like the way the Numinous tarot works with the sword suit. It calls it bells, because you get a sense in these cards of the ringing in the mind, to good and ill, you know. But there's very much a reference to the mind there. I think it leaves it a little bit more open to interpretation, which I like. And I'll link all the names of these decks down below in case you're not familiar with them. But I do, I am on the lookout, you know, for decks that leave me more room. And Natalie showed several decks on her channel that are interesting, like the Marielle, which I've been working with, which I really like as well, because it's not so close to the RWS imagery, and the Mother Piece, and the Tarot of the Spirit, I believe was the other one. This is the Vision Quest, and I'm not real familiar with this one yet. I've held it for a year, but I've barely worked with it because it is a different system. I think it's closer to Thoth or Toth, and that's a deck I'm kind of waiting to learn until next year, most likely. But it's got the keywords on there, which can be limiting as well. But I do like how this is more about yourself and your own experience rather than, you know, other people. It's more about your own internal mental struggles and breakthroughs. But again, a little negative. I'm going to finally work my way here towards a couple of Marseille decks, which I'm still also very new at learning. Anyway, the courts don't matter as much in this conversation, I guess. So Nat showed this one on her channel, the Tarot de Maria Celia. Where's my other ones? Looks like I didn't put them out. One more. I'm going to pause just a second. Okay, so this is one of my few Tarot de Marseille decks. This is a newer, modern version, which I'm only beginning to work with. And I don't know, I feel like whenever I get this deck out, it comes up with all the figures instead of the pips. So, let's see, here's an example of a swords card. This is the 7. The ace. As Nat said, there's just so much more room for interpretation. The flowers that he chose in this deck also have meaning. For how he saw the card, although I don't think his interpretations are, you know, traditional per se. I just like that there's a lot more room for interpretation when you're sticking with just the suit element and the number. Another Tarot de Marseille is the Perrin Tarot. Now these swords I don't actually like as well, as much as I love this deck. These swords leave me a little cold. They're so barren and gray and steely looking. I'll show you. But the rest of the deck is super warm colors. I don't think I changed that one at all. So yeah, there's the swords. They're all like that. There's no decoration, I don't think, on any of them. This is a deck from the 1800s, so it's a little bit beyond the you know, the standard is based on the convert, which I think what came out in, now I'm forgetting, is it 1760? I'll put it down below. Just still working through my Tarot de Marseille history. But so yeah, my main point for coming on is just to say that I'm a little frustrated with how to read RWS, and I know I'm not alone, but I feel like there's still so much I don't understand. So anything you want to share on this subject, I'd be really grateful to hear. I don't want to give up reading RWS. I don't think I'll ever fully give up connection with my favorite decks, but I'm definitely less interested in collecting them now, and I'm much more interested in collecting Tarot de Marseille or pip style decks. And pip style is a whole nother subject. It's just, you know, there's plenty of videos out there discussing that, so I don't really want to go into it, but it's something where you have basically just images of the suits on the card, and they're not arranged the same way as the Marseille style. The Marseille always arranges them in exactly the same configurations, whereas other decks can use just the elements, just the coins or just the swords, but arrange them in new ways, and that becomes then a pip deck rather than a Marseille deck, as I understand it. So I hope this was quick enough and yet not too breathless, and hopefully to the point. I hope you understood where I was going with this, and this is my little attempt to jump on before my kids get home from school and make a quick video just to kind of get some conversation going. Anyway, I wish you all the best, and have a great day. Until next time, take care.